Welcome back to Howling Around, the dating podcast for men. Today, I want to talk about dating app statistics and, more importantly, what they do to men's heads. You've probably heard the same stuff that I have. Only the top 5% of men get any real action, chats and tyrones. You need to swipe endlessly for one match, or, maybe a few matches. And if you get a few matches, you might get a date, and if you get a date, well, she'll probably ghost you. And meanwhile, women only want 6 foot, six pack, six figures, and, well, perfection across the board because, well, women are shallow apparently. Now, if you take that at face value, dating starts to feel not just hard, but pointless. And honestly, I get it. I get why guys feel depressed and demoralized and, super negative about dating apps. I really do. But here's where I want to bring it back to reality just a little bit, just a smidge. And I'll use my own experience. I mean, I'm a pretty average guy. I really am. Look at the photo on the channel. That's me. I'm nothing special. I'm not 6'5". I'm over 6 feet, so I guess I do all right in the height department. But I'm not shredded year round. I don't have a big bank account. I'm not pulling bombshells left and right, but I do okay. Sometimes I get matches, sometimes I get a lot of matches, and sometimes I don't even get a single match. That's life, that's how it works. So I'm there in the trenches with you guys, I understand. Now, dating apps have never been a magic machine for me, and that's true for most men. But here's the part that never fits into those viral statistics. For me, in real life, I do much better, a lot better actually. And that's not because I suddenly become a different person. It's because real life allows things to show up that dating apps simply can't capture. You have to remember that. On an app, all you see is a few photos and a couple of prompts. You don't see how someone carries themselves. You don't feel their calm. You don't hear their voice. You don't experience their humor, their presence, or how comfortable they make you feel. And those are exactly the traits that often matter most in real world attraction. I mean, I've been on dates with women that, based on the prompt and based on the photo, I would say, I don't know, I guess maybe. But in real life, they were much more fun and much more, my match, my type of woman than those photos and those prompts would allow me to believe. And in real life, I've met women, I've been with women who realistically would probably swipe left on me on the app. Well, pretty sure. And that's not because they're shallow, but it's because apps force snap judgments. And yet, in person, those same women respond to things that never make it onto a profile. I mean, the way a conversation flows with you, the ease that you have in a conversation, the energy you give off, and maybe the fact that you're not trying to impress her. That alone should tell you something is off with how we look at dating app data. Let's be clear about one thing first. Dating apps are rough for men. I'm not saying they're not, they really are. They're male heavy, women get overwhelmed with attention, swiping is fast and visual, algorithms reward already successful profiles. That is all true, but it doesn't mean that all is lost. That experience is genuinely discouraging, and you're not weak for feeling that. It is valid. I feel it too sometimes. I get discouraged every now and again. I get pissed off every now and again. Sure, we all do. But dating apps don't measure who people fall in love with. They don't measure who they fall for. They measure who gets clicked on in half a second. That's a huge difference. People swipe aspirationally, men and women. I mean, I swipe right on every woman that looks like a model because why not? Maybe the stars align and I get lucky. But I try to date realistically. On apps, people chase ideals. In real life, they choose people who make them feel good, who feel familiar, who are safe, and who are interesting. Those things are very hard, sometimes impossible to showcase through a handful of photos and, a prompt of a sentence. This is why the top 5%, quote unquote, the top 5% narrative breaks down when you look around in real life. If women truly only dated genetic elites and millionaires, normal relationships wouldn't exist. But they do everywhere, every day. What those stats really describe is how brutal the app environment is, not how impossible dating actually is. If you don't like the apps, get off the apps and, make it work in real life. You have to take action somewhere. And here's the dangerous part. When men internalize those statistics as truth about themselves, it changes how they show up. They become guarded, cynical, and they're already defeated before the date even starts. And that energy is far more unattractive than, just being average looking or being, well, not so rich. I've seen this happen to guys who are perfectly normal and interesting, well, decent guys really, but they walk into dating already convinced that they're not enough and women are shallow and, the whole game is rigged. It's not. And it's not because of real world feedback they got, but it's only because of the internet narratives. Dating apps are just a tool, a very specific and very flawed tool, but nonetheless a tool. If you use them lightly and use them wisely. Don't let them define you, don't let them define women, and definitely don't let the app frustration turn into beliefs about yourself and women and dating in general. At the same time, opting out completely doesn't fix anything either. Deleting apps and doing nothing else just removes opportunities without replacing them. Now, the men who do best over time aren't the ones who obsess over statistics and obsess about how bad dating apps are and how terrible women are and all of that. They're the ones who understand where the apps fall short and make sure that their dating life isn't limited to a screen. They build real world confidence, they talk to people, they talk to women, they become more social. They let their actual strengths show up where they can be felt. So if you're an average guy, like most of us, and apps make you feel invisible, don't treat that as a verdict. Treat it as feedback about the medium. It's feedback about the app. It's not about you. Real attraction happens in presence, not in pixels. Make it work for you in real life. You know, get some balls and, take action. Go talk to some women. Thank you for listening, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye bye.